Well, it's Groundhog Day. Again. And that must mean that I am Professor Robert E. G. Black, and this is the Groundhog Day Project.
It's one of those infinite time loop situations you might have heard about.
It's a thing where the same day keeps happening.
Time.
I wake up every day right here, right in Punxsutawney, and it's always February 2nd.
The last revision is what counts, apparently.
This is the Groundhog Day that exists in the timeline reality of the end of the movie. We're into the final iteration of February 2nd that we see in the film. This summarizes Phil's experience. What is he doing now? He's ended last minute by saying, I've got some errands I've got to run. Okay? And now he exits frame right as this minute begins. And Rita's like, Phil, errands? What errands? I thought we were going back. You can't see me, but I just did the little shoulder thing she does when she finishes her sentence. She kind of dips one of her shoulders, and I'm not sure what that move is. But, I mean, it's there every time. Every time I watch the movie, it's kind of mostly the same. It's also different, which is the great part. About any movie, really. Rewatching a movie, there always is new context, new things you notice, new ways you think about things you noticed before, because now you have new context for it, you've looked stuff up, or you've had different life experiences. Things change. Like this. Seeing the errands he's running made me think about, what am I doing here? Because I'm almost done. Potentially, this season 3, I will get to the end of the movie, and I could just be done with this podcast. Do I still have more stuff to say about Groundhog Day or related to time loops? Absolutely. That's why I take guest spots over on It's Time to Rewind. I don't think I've been on every season of that show, but I've been on often. I like talking about movies. I like talking about time loop things in particular. I also would love to talk about slasher films. If anyone's doing I think our people have already covered Friday the 13th. I covered Halloween. One of my potential future projects is to actually go back to Michael Myers Minute, my first podcast, and finally cover Halloween 2 minutes at a time. If I format it like this, or just have a guest and sort of format it like this, like if they want to prepare detailed stuff, good on them, but I won't, other than to know some locations and stuff. It could work. I could do it. But there's other stuff I'd like to work on. But I'm going to save most of that conversation for the final episodes once the credits are rolling, because I will talk about what I'm doing next. Maybe I will have made a decision by then. Probably not, but I'll at least have a list of options. Anyway, Rita says this, and we cut. We cut to, I forget the name of the street, but is the street that we've seen, like where the camera is right now, and as we cut to this shot of Phil walking, Mary's house is behind us to the left, and the Cherry Street Inn, if we turned around, Cherry Street Inn is down at the end of the block. It's a long block, but it's a block. The thing about this shot, before I get to what happens in it, is for the longest time trying to figure out where this location was when I was doing the blog was so hard, because if you look in the background, we see a couple extras walking around and what looks like a street sign above them. Like it's the corner of the block to another street. It took me the longest time trying to figure out, what does that sign say? Where is this street? And going down around Cherry Street, around the square, like looking at Google Street View and just browsing different blocks of Woodstock, Illinois. I don't remember how I figured it out anymore, but there's a blog entry somewhere about it. If this were season 2, I would read that blog entry tomorrow and talk about how I figured it out. But what I eventually figured out was, that's not a street sign. For some reason, the movie puts 2 extras there as if it's a street, but it's a driveway. Those extras are walking in someone's driveway, and that sign is just some decorative thing in front of that house. Once I figured that out, I'm like, oh, cool. And then I realized the tree behind where Phil catches Joey is distinctively shaped, and that tree is still there, or at least was a decade ago when I was doing the blog, or whenever the Google Street View was taken. And I think I already knew where Mary's house was, the piano teacher's. And when I went to Woodstock, I went to these locations, took a picture of this spot and that tree, I'm pretty sure. I definitely took a picture of Mary's house, and at Mary's house, there was a teenager girl who lived there, came out and offered hot chocolate to people for a donation. You could donate money, a little cup, and she had hot chocolate for us because it was freaking cold. And it was kind of the end of the tour, was going down that block to Cherry Street. So that was nice. Also, behind the scenes, this comes up in Ramos's commentary track, is that Bill Murray, like his back was in pain on this day. So in order to catch this kid, they drop him from literally just above the frame. He's not falling from a tree and getting caught. But also, I've never tried to figure out the actual logistics of this, like how it works. But Bill Murray was on like a wooden ramp, so he wasn't flat-footed and could kind of lean into catching, and it made it so it didn't hurt his back as much.
He has to run to catch the kid falling out of the tree. But the kid is actually, in this upcoming shot, the kid has just sort of fallen off a plank that we had set just out of camera height. But still, a kid that big falling, even from a short distance, it did hurt Bill's back.
Maybe.
But of course, up in the tree, we see Joey. Well, we see Phil walking, and then he looks at his watch. Like, he knows the time. He knows when this kid falls. He has figured out the specific time, sometime between now and when he was at the hospital with the old man, because Joey was in a wheelchair in the background in the hospital, like, lobby area with a cast on his leg. So, this fall broke his leg. Phil looks at his watch, and then he says something. It sounds more like just a noise than words to me. So in the transcript, I don't have any line of dialogue here for what Phil says. But what Phil's noise sounds like is, "Hold on there, fella," which does sound like something Bill Murray might say. But I'm not sure if they had a mic on him for this shot, so it's also some sort of like noise he just invented in ADR? I'm not sure. It's a weird noise. Like, "Hold on, fella. What are you saying? What is happening here, Phil?" Or Bill. He looks at his watch, says that, and then hurries to get underneath this kid. We cut to the kid in the tree, and he falls backward stupidly. No, I get it. This kid's not a professional stunt person. He's a kid, and he just needs to let go of the tree and drop. For that shot, I assume they had some sort of like mattress or air mat thing to catch him, and it was perfectly safe. Falling out of a tree backward like that would suck, though. He's lucky he landed on his feet to break his leg rather than landing on his back. Could have been much worse. Or maybe he did break his back. No, he doesn't look that upset in his wheelchair. He looks almost excited to be talking about, like, there's a nurse and I guess his mother talking, and he doesn't seem that upset. So I don't think he's paralyzed or anything. I think he just broke his leg. Phil catches him. He's like, "What do you say? What do you say? What do you say?" And like the kid runs away. "You little brat, you have never thanked me. I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe." Phil's still got that little bit of like sarcastic edge to him. But he saved this kid from breaking his leg and is just kind of joking about the fact that he didn't thank him. It would be here, I think, that we'd get the deleted scene of Phil saving the little girl from getting hit by the truck. You can find it on YouTube. It's called, like, was it My Doggy Got Cold? I think it's the name for it from the DVD menu. I put it on YouTube. Basically, a truck, big pickup truck, is speeding around from the town square, cuts down the side street, and this little girl has a little puppy tucked inside her jacket, and so she's paying attention to the dog and steps out into the street. Phil grabs her and pulls her back, saves her life, and then makes like a comedic gesture thing of showing her how she's supposed to do it. Is like, you look to the left, you look to the right, you look to the left again, and the right again. And he's like moving her quickly. But they deleted that one and went with this one. I think because this one is set up by the kid in the hospital, since we've seen that, it's good to get this one. We don't need the girl because we haven't seen a result of it. Presumably she was dead, and that's not a result they wanted to put in their comedy. I don't know if they shot anything establishing she was dead. I'm trying to remember what else Phil saves in like the earlier versions of the script. Also is it in Ruben's original, or is it the second revision where Rita follows him around on these errands? Like, the reason she's so interested later and buys him at the auction. Wait, is it why she buys him at the auction? Because then it definitely wouldn't be Ruben's original. There was no auction yet. I don't know offhand. But earlier version of the script, Rita follows him around when he's doing his errands, and that's why she is paying so much attention to him, is so intrigued, and eventually would buy him at the auction. I like it better, the idea that she just buys him because she's intrigued from this morning. Like, he seemed like such an asshole yesterday. And then this morning, he does that fantastic, lengthy speech. We only hear the tail end of it. where all the other reporters and the inner circle guys are like just quietly just focused on him. Larry's moved, you know. Rita's impressed. And she's like, wait, how is that jerk from yesterday, this guy? And then she doesn't see him all day. He says he's got errands in this town he supposedly hates and disappears for hours and hours. And then eventually, it's funny that, what did she do on this day? I never thought about that. I edited together a version of the film that I called Rita's Groundhog Day. And it basically cuts from February 1st to today, this February 2nd. It's about 25 minutes long, I think. It's on Vimeo because YouTube wouldn't allow it. But if you look up Rita's Groundhog Day, you might find it. It's not much of an edit. It's basically just cutting out most of the movie. I think there's one extra clip I put as a transition because the transition is a little abrupt. Oh, what she does. Rita, on this day. She's his producer, right? He walks away after the report. Same thing he did on like day 2, day 3, probably other days. It was a setup from the original, from Danny Rubin's script, that Phil would keep coming back and doing his report even though he didn't need to. Just as a way to like gauge his mood and his enlightenment level, as it were. What did Rita do when Phil's just not around when she and Larry want to drive back to Pittsburgh? Did she and Larry try to drive back to Pittsburgh without him? Or did she just wait around and hope Phil was going to show up at some point? Have they just been waiting? Like, has she been sitting in that bar at the Pennsylvania Hotel, like, all day? Because eventually she comes back into the story. She's at the bar at the Pennsylvania again, waiting to walk into the banquet. The banquet is at night, for sure. We don't see windows from the bar or the banquet, but I would assume it is at least 8 p.m., probably later. So it's been over 12 hours since Phil did his report, and she just hasn't seen him? How is she not looking for him? Or is she looking for him? I don't know. Is it important? No. Just like I say, it's not important how many days Phil is in the loop. It doesn't necessarily matter what Rita did today. It's just, I realized I never put much thought into that. Like, where did she go? And she's like, I thought we were going back. And then he just disappears for 12 hours. What did Larry do? I don't think Phil sabotaged the van again today. Maybe he did, which is a little fucked up, but I don't think he did. I don't think we should assume he did. Because Phil is supposed to be more enlightened now and doing good things, making good choices. Sabotaging the van is not a good choice. It's a selfish choice. So I don't think he did it. We cut from Phil saving Joey from breaking his leg to a car getting a flat and driving along the brick road of, this is at the southwest corner of the square. So pretty close to the Pennsylvania, near Anderson's, the candy store from earlier in the film. Right where we're pretty close. No, not southwest. Northwest. Oh, I was going to say we're by the corner where Phil drove away with the groundhog, but no, we're by the corner where we're near where he robbed the armored truck, actually, over by the courthouse. And this is, in the car are Gertie, Sarah, and why am I forgetting the other character name? I said it a couple episodes ago where I was talking about all the characters in the movie, how so many do have names that come from different versions of the script. The three old ladies are Gertie, Sarah, and something else. I forget the other one.
Gertie's driving. Ruby's in the passenger seat. Sarah's in the back.
But of course, one of them is Felix's wife. All three of them are at the banquet later. Maybe the banquet is earlier than 8 p.m. Maybe it's in the, dinner time. One of them says, "You've totaled it." No, it's only a flat tire. Just be patient. Just cool it. Oh. And then they start shaking because Phil has arrived with a jack and a tire. Is it the one in the backseat is like, "Oh, it's an earthquake." It's not an earthquake. What is it? The driver looks out the side window and sees Phil there, changing the tire. Of course, there is an IMDb goof for this, and it is correct. The spot where the flat tire happens and the spot where Phil is kneeling to change the tire are not the same spot on the bricks. I believe the road is wet at the spot where the flat tire started and where it came to a stop, but obviously not wet where he's kneeling. But they are both generally the same area. The brick road is leaving the square, going west at the northwest part of the square. So she sees Phil and she's like, "Thank you, young man." And the minute ends. We'll finish up with this errand, and, then we'll get to... Oh, he still has one more errand. I forgot about Buster. So next minute, we'll deal with his final errand for the day and then get to the banquet. We're almost done. Phil's almost done. He doesn't even know it yet. It's going to be great. So I guess go do a good deed for someone today. Maybe not strangers with a jack and a tire, because you show up with a jack next to someone's car, they might think you're threatening them.
Knew you were going to say that.
This has been a production of Lemming Drops Studio. You can find links to more at lemmingdrops.com or join the Facebook group Lemming Drops Studio Tour. Also, you can support all my shows at patreon.com/lemmingdrops.
What is wrong in the end which never comes? Or which comes again and again, lapping, like waves.
Since the Big Bang set everything in motion, everything that happens in this universe has to be the way it is. Particles unfolding the way they're destined to.
How do you sleep at night? You've never seen Groundhog Day?
Yeah, you know Groundhog Day is not a documentary.
Remember when Groundhog Day was just a movie?